Untitled Podcast is a part of the Kansas Google Education Group Network and also the Mace Kansas Network. You can find more information about episodes and guests at www.untitledpc.net. Welcome to Untitled Podcast. My name is Travis True.
And I'm Carol Nelson.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the podcast. I'm Travis True.
And I'm Carol Nelson.
We're coming to you end of March, so that means we got some March updates for you. We have just a few updates from March, but they are some pretty big ones. We're going to start with Google Classroom update that I know a lot of people have been looking forward to, and it just got released just a couple weeks ago, so you may have access to it, you may not yet, but that is now in Classroom you can you can schedule one assignment to go across multiple classrooms. So you can set up one assignment and then push that out to multiple classrooms on a schedule, which before you could always push it out, but you had to post it right away. But now you can schedule that. So when you create that assignment, you will select the classes that you want it to go to, and then you go up to where you would the post button, and you click on that little arrow next to the post button, and you hit schedule, and then you'll get another window that pops up that allows you to set the schedule for each class. Now, the real cool thing is you do have the option to set the schedule for one class, and if it's going to be the same, like the same time and the same due date, there's a copy button where it just copies down all of those settings, so you don't have to manually change that for every class. That's if you want the same release schedule and the same due date for each class. If you've got different scheduling, release dates, then you do have to do those manually, but now you can schedule that assignment across classrooms instead of posting it immediately. And so I know this was a setting that a lot of the teachers I work with were really anxious to get, especially at the middle and high schools where they do have multiple classrooms for their class, but they will have the same assignments. And so they were pretty excited when they found out that we had it on our domain. So you can check that out if you don't have it yet. You just may need to wait a little bit, but you'll get it eventually.
That's a great change. It's going to be a time saver. Another fun change. Now, I don't know about you, but I've done this where I've had a Google form, I've gotten the data back, and I want to put that into a presentation or something. And all the options were basically to copy and paste that into your presentation, a lot of back and forth. And now there's been an update to embed linked Google form charts into Google Docs, slides, and drawings. So another big time saver for us, that it makes it easy to put that data that we're getting from those forms back into other documentation that we might want to be providing around those.
So this was a setting that's always been around in Sheets for charts. You could always copy those live charts from Sheets over into Docs. But now this is really cool that you can do it from forms now, because like you said, you just have that little copy button and you get all that live data continues to update your charts. So as you open up that Google Doc, you'll see live data. And so you don't have to go back and copy a fresh new chart and make sure you got the right chart, the right spot. So that is a really good update.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Google Sheets. So this next change goes with Google Sheets. You know, if 5 million cells was not enough for you, I really want to know who that wasn't enough for. But they have now changed it to 10 million cells.
Yeah, I don't. Of all the spreadsheets that I've ever worked with, I don't think I've ever gotten close to 5 million cells. That's a lot. So
That
yeah.
is a lot.
So hopefully, if you're one of those that hits that barrier frequently on Google Sheets, more power to you. That's a lot of data you're looking at, but now you can double that data, I guess, and
That's right.
work
Have
with
no
10,
fear. Your
yeah, work
cell
with
limit is expanded.
work with 10 million cells now.
The other update I have for you is an email drafts idea in Google Docs. And I thought this was really interesting when I saw this update, making it easy to collaborate in email drafts in Docs. And it kind of connects back to an update that we shared, maybe either last week or the week before, with using the @ sign as well. So it's you can mention people in the receipt fields using the @ and you can just draft that email in Google Docs. I haven't played with this, but I'm super excited because what was it, Travis? They had like canned responses for a while or something like that. And didn't that go away?
Yeah, so this is part of in Google Docs under Insert, you may see a section called Building Blocks. So this is kind of part of that. And so we don't have access to the email draft templates yet, but we do have access to under Building Blocks. So it's under the Insert menu. So you click on Insert at the top, and Building Blocks is kind of in the middle of that drop-down menu. But what we have access to is something called Meeting Notes.
Mm.
And email drafts will be in the same place. But what's cool about the email draft template, like you said, is you can set it up and it actually looks like an email with the to box, the blind carbon box, the carbon copy box, the subject line, and you can collaborate with multiple users on that doc, and people can type in, and then you can send the email right from that document.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to copy and paste it into Gmail, because it does it for you basically.
Yeah.
When you want to go send it, it just opens up Gmail, generates that message and copies it right in, and all the information. So that's really cool. The meeting notes feature under Building Blocks is cool too, because what that does is when you turn that on, you get a drop down on your Google Doc where it has a list of your Google Calendar meetings and invites, and so you pick that meeting, and then it'll put on the document, it puts the title of the meeting, who was invited, the date and the time. It puts and then it has two different sections: a section for notes, and then a action items section with checkboxes. So it automatically formats that, and that's really nice. That it, with one click, you get all that information, and it's formatted into a document where you can keep notes, and then you can also make a list of those different action items and use those smart clips, like you mentioned, with the @ sign to assign people different tasks. And so Docs is getting really pretty smart. They're putting a lot of resources into Docs to make it a little bit more smarter. I guess I should say the collaboration is getting smarter, I guess.
Yeah, that's the point. And I mentioned canned responses. It used to be in Gmail, and that's what it made me think of. This might be I used to use that all the time. I would create, this email that I would send out multiple times, or, variations of that. This might be kind of a good replacement for that, because I think that canned responses went away. At least I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I
So,
haven't seen it. That's one that, like you said, like you, I used to use it, and
mhm.
then I think like kind of during COVID, kind of quit using it, and just never came back to it. So I'd have to research to see if it's still there.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder too with this, if it would be a good way for kiddos to practice emails without really,
Ooh,
being in Gmail, without actually even sending something. It'd be a neat way to kind of practice. I know that was something my teachers asked for at one point, was how can we, practice that? Um, Capitalization, all those pieces that we want to see, the to and
yeah,
the
the greeting and the
yeah,
closing and the body and just
yeah.
writing that good email. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea and not something I hadn't thought about. So yeah, that's a great classroom use for that feature. Okay, the last update that we have for you is a Google Chat update. So Google Chat took the place of Google Hangouts, and Chat is kind of embedded into um, Gmail. So it lives over there on the side, on the left side, and you can have individual chats. You can set up rooms for multiple people to have. They're called spaces, and you can do a lot of different things in Chat. But Chat took the place of Hangouts, and so now, as of our recording date, 2 days ago, actually, Hangouts is going away. It's done. So the deadline to use Classic Hangouts is now done. You can go, if you go to hangouts.google.com, you'll be forced into Google Chat. So if you were still using Hangouts, you're not using Hangouts anymore. You are using Chat now. So, and Chat's got some really, if you've ever used Slack, which is
Mm,
a messaging tool, a lot of companies use it over
mhm,
email. It works a lot like Slack does, where you can easily attach things. You can create meet links and different tag people in different messages. It's really a robust messaging feature, and on the phone, you don't have to have a separate app for chat on the phone. It's all built into the Gmail app now, which I like.
mm.
So Gmail on my phone, when I get a chat message, it's just right there in the Gmail app, and I don't have another app that I need to update or worry about trying to find. So
And
so
it
if you're
pops up nicely and in Gmail on your computer as well, those chats. And
yeah. All right. So yeah, if you're still hanging on to Hangouts,
you're not
sorry,
anymore.
you're out of luck. You're using chats now, and a lot of your chats from Hangouts should have migrated over. I know mine did, and a lot of the groups became, they're called spaces now. Those Hangout groups are now spaces. So I think that's it for our updates. Do we have anything else to share for March?
I think that's all of them, but we do have links to all of our things that we've talked about today to get more information. And we'll have those in the show notes. Always like to remind everybody of that.
Yep. So check out the show notes, check out the website at untitledpc.net. Um, and so, yeah, till next time, that's all we got for you today. So have a good evening.
Bye. Welcome to another episode of the Untitled Podcast. I'm Carol Nelson.
I'm Travis True.
Glad to have you along for this episode where we're going to look at April updates. Travis, one exciting 100th celebration. I can't even imagine 100 updates, but this one had some goodies in it.
Yeah, the version 100 of Chrome OS. It's kind of hard to believe that they've updated it 100 times, or at least 100 different versions. There is some good stuff in the version 100, but the one that I am really interested in, or that there's actually two that I'm interested in, is the voice dictation. So you can actually make edits in voice dictation now when you use that tool in Chrome OS. So you can tell it to backspace and delete, which is kind of cool. But the other one that caught my eye with this update is using the camera tool in built into the Chromebook. You can now create GIFs, and your students can create GIFs. And playing around with it, you're really limited to like 5-second GIFs, not very long, but they can create those, and it saves it right to their Chromebook, or they can choose to save it to their drive. But that's using the built-in camera tool, and which I thought that was pretty cool.
I like that too. Seems like they keep improving what the camera feature can do within the Chromebooks.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just a couple updates ago that they released where you could do screen recordings with the built-in camera, and so they're spending a lot of time. It seems like with the camera, and so I was kind of excited to see how the GIFs work, and I think I think a lot of teachers you need to check that out and see, and I think your students will have fun with that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So another friendly thing with booking pages with with appointment scheduling. That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I like this update. So create externally friendly booking pages with appointment scheduling in Google Calendar. Tell me more.
yeah, that's a mouthful. So in Google Calendar, if you wanted to, they've always had appointment slots in Google Calendar, so you could always set up appointment slots and send that website out, and people can choose a time. So we always did it, or we've done it the last couple of years with parent-teacher conferences, appointment slots. So this is it's a version of appointment slots that just looks a lot better, has a little bit more functionality. You may be familiar with a web tool called Calendly. Um, so it kind of has that kind of feel to it, and you can add some customization to it. And but the thing is, so when we got it turned on for our domain, our district domain, um, the support page in Google says that you won't have to do anything; it'll be turned on automatically. But for us, we had to go into our calendar settings, and in the general settings for our calendar, you'll see appointment scheduling on the left-hand side, and we actually had to go turn that on for us. So you may not see it, but check your settings in your calendar, and you can turn that on. And the other thing that playing around with it, um, I'll give you a tip is that it doesn't work in month view. You have to be in at least week day view or week view of your calendar in order to get the appointment scheduling option. So you still have appointment slots option, but then you can also do the appointment scheduling.
Which a lot of people did use Calendly or something else to get the features, and now you don't have to use those outside as much.
Right, and that does a great job of blocking off if you've already got things, meetings or events on your calendar. It does a good thing. It does a good job of blocking those off, and it just looks a lot nicer than appointment slots. I really liked appointment slots. I used it quite a bit for people to make appointments with me. But this, I'll probably use this a little bit more. Just like I said, it just looks a lot cleaner, a lot more sharp, and kind of goes along with the whole overall theme that Google's trying to push out to all their tools.
Mm-hmm. So this next one that we're going to talk about is with Google Meet, and that the video chats can now be directly available in Docs. So that sounds like a time saver.
Yeah, so this one, I don't have any access to it yet. I haven't seen it yet, but according to the article and the update, there will be an icon up kind of by the share button that you can start a Google Meet session right in your Google Doc and invite participants to collaborate on the Google Doc and have a Meet session in the same environment at the same time.
Oh, wow. So
I thought
less flipping back and forth
less flipping
between.
back and forth, less, you're in a Google Meet and you're doing a screen share. You can just be right in the document and also have um, some of your collaborators right there in a Google Meet session in the document um, at the same time. So, and this is supposed to be, let me double check here. This is, let's see, this is supposed to be available for all workspace editions, so including the free edition too. So it just started rolling out just a few days ago, maybe last week. So at the time of this recording, so it may take a while to get to you. Usually, like for us, we usually get it 2 or 3 weeks after they started rolling out. So maybe by um, the middle of May, into school, just in time for the end of school.
Get a little practice over spring break with it,
Yeah,
or not spring break,
yeah,
summer break.
summer, yeah. And then the other update they had for Google Meet is you can start brand new Meet sessions using the shortcut meet.new, just like you can with docs.new and forms.new and sheets.new. You can now type in the omnibar, the address bar, meet.new, and it'll just start up a brand new Meet session, and then you can invite people from
I
there.
really like those shortcuts. However,
Yeah.
I am still holding out for drawing.new.
Yes, I think that may be the only one that they don't have a shortcut for.
Not yet. So this is a fun one. This is maybe my favorite of all these, just because I'm a sucker for an emoji and what fun they can be. So new emoji reactions in Google Docs on the web. And we were playing with this a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. So on my trainer domain, I got access to it. So when you select any text on a document, on the right side of the document, there's a bubble that pops up, and you've always been able to recently there's an add comment button or suggested edits button that goes right there, kind of on the right margin of the document. When you get access to the emoji, you're going to see a third icon right in the middle, and that is an add a emoji reaction. So you can highlight something on your document, click on the emoji icon, and you're going to get a full library of emojis that you can add in. So you could add in a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a happy face, whatever emoji you want. And that can be basically you're commenting with an emoji, is basically what it is. And once you leave that emoji reaction, people can also respond with an emoji. So it's just kind of fun. It's a fun way to give feedback to students, or students can give feedback to peers that way also. Instead of they can still leave regular comment feedback, but the emoji reaction is kind of fun. And from everything that I've read or have seen, this is a setting that uh, can't be turned off. You're going to have access to it, and you should just have immediate access to it when it becomes available on your domain.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Another go play later on.
Yeah.
So this last update that we found is about assistive writing, and that there's some suggestions in Google Docs that are coming.
So they've done a lot. Google has done a lot with the suggestive edits kind of like on your phone, as you type, it will try to suggest what you're, trying to write and suggest words or phrases for you. But they're updating this with different things. So you're going to see more word choices. You're going to see some active voice choice rather than passive voice. You're going to see more inclusive words and phrases, and you also may see warnings that it may give you that you're using potentially inappropriate words. Not quite sure what potentially inappropriate words means at this point, but you may see that, and that's just those are changes that are just going to be rolled out, and you'll just see them pop up as you work in Google Docs. So they're making that the suggestive edits more robust as we move forward too.
I think I have always appreciated this about Google, but they do continue to try and make improvements, and they do listen to the
Yeah,
feedback the teachers give.
I really like the suggestive edits in Gmail. I use that quite a bit because the suggestive edits just make my email sound a lot better than what I would probably normally type.
And now you'll be warned if you're using language that you shouldn't.
I know, right? And that's even better. That's even better to warn me that maybe I shouldn't use that word in that document or that email. So, all right. Well, so we are at the end of April already. Can you believe that? It's kind of crazy how um, this year's gone by, and we've got everybody has roughly a month left of school, roughly. Um, so that's all the updates we have for April, and we'll probably have one more episode of May updates before summer break. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks everyone for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.